nice. Feels good to hear those drums again. Back with Mikey. Game Winning Drive Encore episode. Hey, Mikey, how's it going today, man?
Encore. Do you want more?
Dude, don't stop, man.
Something with the cooking raw with the Brooklyn something.
Yeah. Sing it, dude. This NFL season's over. This is kind of we thought we just needed to kind of wrap up the loose ends of Survivor 2025 and also the NFL season 2025. I know we both stared at the NFL more this year than in a long time, probably, right?
I have a question for you. How much NFL did you consume after Survivor ended?
Ooh. I tried to not go to the Super Bowl party. If that answers the question.
You slipped and fell into your car and drove all the way there?
Yeah, no. So after the celebration at Circa, took a vacation to Colorado, did some dog sledding, and as kind of the downtime, it fit really good to watch all the games, especially because Denver was making a run. Denver was in some exciting games.
Oh yeah.
So
all right.
I ended up watching almost every single play of the postseason.
Wow. Your experience was vastly different from mine.
You turned it off.
Didn't pay too much attention. I watched that one game that was good.
Well, but I feel like the years where I wasn't cashing Circa Survivor, I can't stand watching NFL coming off the pain of torching another year's worth of entries. But this year, having a little taste of a winner made me feel like a ball knowledge expert. You know, this kind of just does something to your mind where
even though you routinely rejected ball knowledge picks throughout the course of the season.
Yes, man. I've been meditating a lot on that and ball knowledge.
And like when we talked to Casey, he was like super anti-ball knowledge.
Yeah, dude. I it's weird because on one hand, we push the kind of the Atlas value approach a lot because it gets people excited about our website. But man, after having a piece of one that never lost, I feel, and also like kind of having some ball reads that I shared with him that kind of came true. I feel kind of like ball knowledge genius right now. It's got me all gassed up. I'm probably gonna make some real spewy plays 2026 Survivor because I feel like I'm seeing the pigskin move, dude. I'm seeing it.
Didn't you take like Steelers like in the first for 3 entries in the first week or something this year?
Yeah, I mean week 1 I always get
like brainiac syndrome.
There's just something nice about burning one of those teams that no one else picks and just being on a different path. Just that's how I usually start the season, but
can't be that bad to shove 7-4 off, right?
Image play, man. Just build it.
You always have equity.
Yeah. So I'm actually gonna, we're like every year we retool Survivor Atlas, our content, do it fresh, and I do have some major ball knowledge kind of thoughts that I was fighting from last year, but I'm kind of more leaning into it this year. Not done yet with the stuff. We're just kind of getting started with how we're preparing in the off season for next year. But I've been thinking about that more. Maybe I was too hard on the ball knowledge experts. Maybe Atlas needs some ball knowledge tools more so. I don't know. I wanted to talk about all the fun and the celebration stuff too before we get off on the off season stuff, and just talk about what went down.
Sure.
So for those, there's some content out there. I think not all of it is right. Like there's some articles, there's some the photos was out there, and I'm not sure what old Juicy Coochie and Jason were saying on the documentary. I don't know. I don't know what the story is going to be exactly. Because one thing funny about it is so much of these interviews about the entry and the journey is done at Circa week 18 when they are just flooding us with free drinks and partying at Circa. And what I remember, first thing I remember is I didn't eat breakfast that day. I show up at Circa at 9 o'clock in the morning, coffee and tequila, let's go. And I think I might have had a cookie some point in between the games, but I was on like pedal to the metal partying that day. And I know early in the day, some reporters came by and questioned us a little bit. And then after Minnesota won, Fernanda's final pick on Juicy Coochie, we're celebrating the next game. We're drinking even more. And then some reporters come back for round two. And the documentary people, I just don't remember anything that was said then. And then the articles start coming out. It's like, oh yeah, that. And,
oh, news to me.
kind of funny experience. Like, for example, in the Super Bowl, they interview people after the game. They got Sam Darnold up there. How do you going to Disney World? And he's like celebrating, but he's not like 10 drinks in on empty stomach. So he kind of has
his wits about him. Yeah.
So I just wanted to mention that. I also want to thank Circa. They really showed us a great time. All the teams like that were in the final day.
I'm bummed I couldn't be there. It looked cool.
It was a blast. Also, just meeting the other people who made it to the end.
Yeah, I mean, we know Casey, but like, how were the other people?
Yes, well, without going in their business, it was just cool meeting people. Also, just how many Atlas community was represented, as far as like, 18, almost 19 million got paid out, and Atlas was extremely well represented as far as how much of that money went to people who were staring at the map, staring at Survivor Atlas.
How many people total do you think were like, I don't know, got their beak wet, that were, you know what I mean?
Yes. I going to the check ceremony the following week, got to kind of figure out, that person or those few people, they weren't at the last day of Circa, but obviously since they're here, they did some trading and got in there.
Yeah.
Dang, I guess let me think. Was it 5?
I'm guessing it was probably like 40.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Because there's some photos out there of all the winners, or of the people getting the check ceremony, and we had kind of a ridiculous one, man, where all I guess I want to just touch on how this came together, because we had like 20 people came on stage, or maybe not. I don't know who all showed up on that stage, but it was kind of ridiculous. And I think some people are curious about that stuff. My story, like I play with my family always. Like we've been playing since the beginning. That's who we won when we had 15 entries in 2021. And, that year we won, we did a little trading with Jason and his buddies playing. And for those who were following this year, Grandissimo, there was Survivor Atlas G and there was Survivor Atlas J. And that was Jason Somerville. And, for years, I'm always talking about we. Now, Mikey, you're part of the we when I'm talking about Survivor Atlas. But Jason's been like behind the scenes, major like reason that we're finding success. So I'm always trading with him too, and he loves Survivor. He was, front row of Bet Bash, taking notes at my seminar last year, along with some other winners, by the way. which was a whole mind trip that we'll have to talk about later about helping so many people and then being against them at the end. But uh, I know like Jason has his kind of friends playing, and we swap a little bit, and then Juicy Coochie was one of the like top players. Once the field got knocked down, Juicy Coochie had like 10 entries when everyone else had like two or three. And then going into Thanksgiving, Juicy had three. And I know there was lots of like swaps done where having three entries that day is sweet, and other people would love a little piece of that, but they got one entry, so
Right.
some trades.
And the teams that they took to get there are different, so it's very difficult to do like a one for one swap. If you got there with by taking two underdogs and everybody else has burned like three of the four teams that you can take on Christmas as an example, it's like yeah, I bet you do want to swap.
Right, and man, playing for almost 20 million, not just the money but the fun. It's so much fun being part of a deep run, even if you only have 1%, right? Or some of the people in our photo had micro piece of because of their trade, how it worked out.
Yeah, a little
Like
walking around money.
yeah, some of the people like in the photo had a four-figure payout.
Of an
It's not
$18 million payout. They get four.
right.
Yeah.
They really like they had their little thing, and somehow they got on that one. And I know personally, I know how fun it is to be part of a deep survival run. So I haven't been saying no to people when they're trading with me. I think it's got to change this year because that was kind of so ridiculous to have 20 people up there. But uh, it also says something for people want to be on an entry late. It's fun, especially with friends and loved ones. Like it's it's the most fun thing when you can win money with people that you want to win money with, right? Like,
There's
um,
there's there's a lot of similarities, but also a few key differences. I know between Survivor and tournament poker, and I think if anybody has watched or listened to this over the course of the season, they know that you and I keep talking about poker and how it relates to poker. And one of the ways is that it's really easy to do a swap, or it's very common to buy a piece of somebody or something like that. And typically in the poker biz, it's like that's pretty common. If you can't go play a tournament, but you want a little piece of somebody, or if somebody doesn't, is going to play 100K or something like that, and they don't necessarily want to have all of that, fine, take a piece. The difference is that in poker, you make a final table, ninth place is going to get, whatever, some money, eighth, seventh, sixth, all the way up. And, you hope to get first, but like if you get second, that ain't that bad. In this, if you bust week 19, that is the same as you losing in the very first week. So, in that sense, the swap becomes a little more important or meaningful, I would say,
mhm.
as opposed to poker, because you're talking about zero or something. And yes, you can hedge on your own, and there's ways to do that depending on your piece that you have. And I could talk about my hedge going into the Vikings. My Packers plus 12 and a half. Fuck.
Ooh, okay.
Um,
I forget the final score, but
how about it was 16-3?
oh, ooh, yeah.
Did
Well,
you even see how it ended? Or do you remember how
dude,
it ended?
dude, I
It was 16. Well, you probably don't, because it was 16-0. And so it was like it was already in the bag. It was done deal, right? Because like the clock was like at 45 seconds, let's say.
right, and
And
that was probably when Derek's bringing out champagne flutes. We're all getting some champagne going.
right. And I'm
Nine,
still watching because I have an interest in this. And they so they're driving, and it's like first and goal. The Packers are, and I'm like, oh, come on, just get a touchdown here, get a touchdown. So I don't remember exactly, but it was like first down, whatever now it's like first and goal from the 6. maybe they lose a yard, second and goal from the 7, third and goal from the 5, then incomplete pass. And I'm like, all right, here it is, all the marbles, still a 2-possession game.
Oh
Then the
yes,
fucking the field goal unit comes on, and I'm like, what on earth is this? It was a two
yes.
possession game still, and
The
like,
pure. I'm remembering this feeling now. They just purely surrendered, right?
yeah. And I was like, at least give me one more shake at it. And they kick a field goal because they didn't want to get blanked. They didn't even kick an onside kick after that. I think they just they just that was it.
Yeah, that was a what a fun final game. I don't know if you want the dramatic one or the one that ends with the other team just surrendering, uh, but there wasn't any like uphill drama or any friction like all day, except maybe there was one bad play for Minnesota when their
And
quarterback.
I told my friends about it, and I was like, you know, it's hard for you to feel bad for me, because because I didn't cover and scoop both, but uh, whatever.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I mean, I was about to say I'll never forget that day, but on the other hand, I don't really remember that day because
Yeah, you
of
didn't remember anything I just said.
I remember being there and then roll and having a big thing of ice with a bunch of drinks in it, and then some friends showed up, and there was a roped off area, and um, kind of funny that some of the one of the person who swapped in with a micro piece, like their family who they came with to like watch the game and have some fun at Circa, their family knew Fernanda, whose entry it was,
Right.
Juicy Cookie, and it was kind of like a small Vegas world, and we got to kind of celebrate together because of that. And it really, or just underscores what you're talking about how it's so cool to have, or it's so appropriate and like natural to have swaps in Survivor. Um, because of the payout stuff, but also just because how much fun it is. And like everyone knows, everyone who's been through one Survivor season knows how the hedging 5 weeks in advance like leads to problems.
Yeah.
And obviously, Circa wants people hedging starting week one, right? Everyone just bet
Yeah.
against your entry every week. But when the
You hit
money,
one team who was minus 1400, and now you're locking in your $8.
right, 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 and um, when the money gets big, it's hard not to want to do the hedging. And I know some of the entries who made it deep were, happy to just make big swaps with each other. And Juicy, Juicy, they had already swapped enough where it wasn't really worth it. Also, I want to say, like, it was kind of like this new meta game that happened last year with people announcing their picks. And Juicy Coochie, like, noticeably did not participate in that. And it was like I just want to comment on it because like since I was part of the entry and for 2 or I guess 3 years now, like sharing so much Survivor stuff, like everything, all the sharp reads I have, thoughts, whatever, it was just nice to finally step back and just let everyone else put themselves out there while the entry that I had a piece of wasn't participating in that.
I
It
don't
was
know.
kind of,
I'm of the opinion, like you, where it's like, why would you give away something for free? That isn't, that you don't have to. And I get it if like you have you've burned 15 of the favorites, and there's one team that's minus 19 points, and your next best option is like +8. Okay, feel free to announce that. But if you have like 4 options or something that are all 6-point favorites or something, why are we gonna
mm,
and why are we gonna disclose it? But more than that, I'd be very apt to announce and then go opposite of how I announce.
hey, yes. So there is. I mean, most of the time, it makes sense to announce because you want to discourage people from joining you. And
Right, right. Yes, but
I think there are times where you're like game theory wise, it's better to bluff. And Actually, it was interesting because I think one of the shows last year with some of the players left, they all agreed that you should never bluff. But I'm pretty sure the spots where you're supposed to bluff. And
Never bluffing can't be right. Like just by
right,
rule, it can't be right.
right, just from like the solving the range of actions,
Yes.
you don't want right because you get opened up to that. And I think there was that time where Galen went public, kind of pleading for Juicy Coochie to do something,
Yeah.
and I think that was kind of a good spot to bluff. Especially because he made a public plea on a Wednesday, and stuff changes, and other people had decisions, and maybe it could have tilted something. But interestingly, at this dinner after the win, the Week 18 win at Circa, where Derek takes everyone downstairs and has a party at the restaurant, Derek brought this up, like, oh, this was a big change this year where lots of entries have been claiming things. And of course, there's been years past where people claim publicly stuff. Like, it isn't new, but this was the first year where it's like all poker players at the end. So they're all trying to nail the GTO game theory stuff.
Yeah.
So a bunch of them want to do it. And again, was very hammered at this point. But I remember Derek saying something and him being like, maybe we'll see someone bluff. And I stood up and I was like, excuse me. Actually, in your rules, number 28 or number 18 or whatever it is, it says like Circa can kick you out if you do something fraudulent. And talking to Fernanda and Jason, like there was some notion of should she like lie about something, but there was that rule which is like, okay, Circa probably wouldn't kick Fernanda out of the contest.
But why tempt fate?
Right. So, I mean, I don't know if anyone else in the room knew the rule, but I knew the rule, right?
You're like the Bill Belichick of Survivor.
Yeah. Intentional holding penalties. Let's do it. No.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they'll change anything, because I'm not sure if they want that or not. I think it's kind of cool if the whole world becomes a battlefield for it, but it also has some drawbacks. As far as misinfo, maybe it's just bad vibes to do that.
But the other problem with Survivor is that you're trying to input as many things as you can for something that ultimately boils down to one coin flip. So it's like your outside ability to express your dominance or skill in this event is very limited, because each week you can only take one action, right? If me and you are playing one-on-one basketball, I have essentially quite a few opportunities for me to express my skill level, or
Right.
poker. In one hand, there's three streets of betting, and and then we just get dealt a new hand, and that happens hundreds and hundreds of times in a tournament. In this, you have 20. It's like playing. It's even less. It's like playing 5 poker hands, because each poker hand contains 3 to 6 decisions, and then multiply that over to you get 20. It's like me trying to express my dominance against you in poker. If we're only playing 5 hands, that's going to be super tough to do.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the great equalizer in Survivor, is that I've seen some people say, oh, like, how can I win with one entry against groups? But like, the bottom line is, if you go 20-0, like, you get the check, and or maybe even less, everyone else knocks out. Like, there was a chance this year that we had everyone end early and only one winner. Like on Christmas, that was quite live. Less live on the Sunday after and the final week, but it was possible. And that's like the money being so big and just needing to go 20-0 to get a share of it. Like, that is very compelling to want to play. And I think the poker players, maybe they can't help it when they're like, oh, but if we could just get the entire field on one team, there is some EV stuff, but it's not like it's rarely it rarely matters.
as clear cut.
Yeah,
Although
yeah, and
this year was exceedingly difficult to navigate if you were like a one team guy, just because every dog on Thanksgiving. Um, presumably, if you made it that far on your one entry, you would have been setting yourself up to take one of the big favorites on Thanksgiving.
yes, and you remember, or the schedule came out last year. And there's Thanksgiving and there's Christmas, and there's three
Right,
teams that were on both: Kansas
right.
City, Detroit, Dallas. So everyone's
Loser.
thinking about how to use Kansas City and Detroit, right? But both Kansas City and Detroit went 0-2 on the holidays.
Yeah.
They both lost all their holidays, and Dallas won both of theirs. Where preseason they were likely to be dogs for both, right?
It's just
Um,
like if you're the type of person to have gotten to Thanksgiving on one entry, you're not the type of person to take an underdog in that situation.
yeah, yeah, and I mean, it's it's not a tragedy, but it's like some type of Shakespeare drama, man. When all the dogs bark on Thanksgiving over 4 games, and the money's the biggest. Like,
Well, this was
um,
also reflected in the winner's circle. I mean, once you got to, I don't know how many people left. Once there was like 30 or so people left, I think all 30 of those were multi-entry teams, from what I recall.
yeah, I think, or maybe one of the last 10 started with 3 or 4 or 5,
Yeah.
maybe, and I think they lost after the Sunday after Christmas, but yeah, I mean, hard to this particular year, the way the results played out, you can point to it and go, oh, that's going to be hard for a person with one entry to win. And all the other years, it's hard for anyone to win, but there's never been such a
Right.
stark thing to point at. Oh, because of that Thanksgiving, gosh, like that.
And I
And
mentioned this to you, like, I had an entry with 9 other people, and we lost on some crap like week 9 or so. I can't even remember. Doesn't matter.
Green
But
Bay,
yeah, Green
Green Bay,
Bay.
Gold Bay, who gives a shit?
Yeah, yeah. and uh and then I mentioned this before, but like in the successive weeks after that, I was kind of mentally picking who we would have picked if Green Bay won. And then I was like,
Yep.
okay, we won we won week 10, won week 11, won week 12. Then it was like Thanksgiving, and I was like, oh, okay, done deal. I feel much better because I definitely wouldn't have gone 19-1. So
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
it was like the opposite of salt in the wound, like sugar in the wound, I guess.
Yeah, you got a little sugar in the wound, dude. That makes
Yeah.
sense. I do think just from like approaching the game, like survivor, kind of academic survivor reasons, it's pretty cool that we had the dog scoop, just so people could experience it and see what it's like when the field goes from 900 to 40. And
Yeah.
just thinking about
When we do this podcast in like 25 years, though, we'll reference that this past year.
right, no, every year you got to think about it, right? Because it makes the math like so much more obvious when you can look at the math and go, oh, like it was worth something. So thinking of that, the math for anyone, Atlas, Atlas is wide open now for it's been since the Super Bowl,
Hey,
because it's in the past.
lock in now. Lock in now. Get your early bird price for next year.
Yeah, or we're no price yet. We gotta figure out all the improvements we do before we slap a price on it. But thinking about survivor value and the lessons from it, you can look at the parlay of any entry and see what it would have paid out. So like
Is that true?
this
Like
entry,
a straight money line parlay on each pick?
yeah, for each entry, I have this now, so you can see
What was
the juice.
GCK's?
Are you seeing on the screen?
Yeah, but it's small. I'm on my. Oh, I see
Okay,
it. Okay.
so 20 legs played plus 14,000. So if you started with 1,000
Yeah.
and did it, you got to 140K. Um,
Okay. So
which obviously
Suffice
is
to say
very
that
different.
this was more profitable.
Right, because it's the survivor value kind of highlights it.
Right.
Also, um, brag, Juicy Coochie brag right here is you notice right here, week 12 picked Green Bay versus Minnesota. And then week 18 picked Minnesota versus Green Bay.
That I did not know, and that is pretty cool.
The old both sides of the same
The
game
old
on the same
double dip. The old the old
Yeah.
Saskatoon. I don't know.
So, yeah, we'll think of a name for that. Minnesota.
I don't know.
I'll ask Fernanda if she's got a name for that move she pulled because I haven't checked if history if that's ever happened before, but I think probably it hasn't happened.
It's hard to see a circumstance where you would do that.
Right, because it's just the teams are too likely to be close. So I thought that was pretty cool. And there's probably some other interesting stuff like that, but in this short little off season so far, I've only really looked at the cool stuff that Juicy did. Everyone else, whatever. We lost Mikey, but if you want to go, anyone you want to look up your entries and see what the parlay would have been. There was I forget who it was on Twitter that threw the idea at us. Atlas should do that. So then, like all good ideas that thrown at us, we just build it. And it's not just for winning entries. You can go back to see losing entries too. Just to kind of relive them. And Mikey, do you know all the Grandissimo entries? What that parlay would have paid?
Oh man. I don't know, probably not that much since they only went like 8 weeks.
Trick question, Mikey. They all lost, so they all would have paid 0.
Oh, I thought you meant up to the point that they lost.
Yeah, I got you good, man. I got you good on that one.
You really screwed me there.
Yeah. No, I had that tweet in my drafts all year, but I never fired that one. About because it's kind of a fun thing to do every year. Look back at the winners and go, oh, the parlay would have paid this, and then for Grandy's, whatever. You get the joke.
The funniest jokes are the ones that you have to explain.
Right. That's why I made a point to save that explanation for this Encore episode.
I get it.
Dude, we could do a second Encore episode where I just go through all the drafts that never got fired, and
I'd like that one.
You could get your feedback on what would have been a hit, what wouldn't,
and explain all the jokes to me.
Right. But instead, maybe I'll just save them for next year. Which
I know that there's a few things that you wanted to hit that I want to make sure that we dive into those topics.
Yeah, was something in mind, or should I look at my list?
No, I don't want you to us to call it quits and then you be like, oh, I had like 19 other things I wanted to say.
Yes. Well, hey, I just to share something that's been on my mind, and I still kind of not comfortable with the answer. I guess is that Survivor Atlas. I know a bunch of people love it and helped a bunch of people win some money, and it's still kind of weird to me to think about, my piece personal of Juicy Coochie and what it would have been worth if Atlas didn't exist. And same for helping people at Bet Bash and explaining this stuff. In general, we think it's so hard to win Survivor. Just going to try to help people and build something cool and just see where it goes. And by the way, I have a ton of fun with you and on the tailgate and the Discord throughout the season. So it's cool doing the community, but it's also kind of a mind fillet.
Yeah, Casey's even said it, when he came on the show a few times, how helpful it was to him. And
right.
If you knocked Casey off, that's another, $3.7 million that's added to the prize pool. I think that a little bit of this, there's probably you're going through this now, similar to what people in poker were going through, when training sites first, when like card runners first got up and running, and like Brian Hastings and
Dude, it's
SB
way worse.
Rugby and those dudes were like teaching people, and like CTS were like, giving the keys to the $1,000 an hour on party poker. And you're like, why are you sharing this? But here we
Dude,
are.
I mean, just to say it, in Survivor, there's only one huge Survivor contest that really matters, right? It's Circa Survivor, and like
Right.
you're forced to play against everyone. In poker, at least there's 1,000 tables spread out across the world that you could take your trade to somewhere else.
Yeah.
But maybe it was dumb. I don't know. I mean, and I don't know what we could have done differently. Like, what, we charged 10 times more, and that would just, I don't know. I don't know
It's
what
hard
we're
to
gonna.
say. Like if you were just looking at the absolute value of the obtaining the absolute most amount of dollars, I don't know that not doing Survivor Atlas would come out as positive,
Mm,
because how many people joined, or gave additional entries that ended up losing. It's hard to quantify.
right, right. And in general, I like scooping up some good karma. That feels, I like it, and
Sure.
I hope we're doing is like expanding the game itself, making
Right,
it more
exactly.
for
Yeah.
people.
And that's
Uh,
that's what's hard to quantify.
yeah, and one thing too, thinking about how our approach, it really is like everything. I saw comments about Jason being with Fernanda, them partnering, and how like, oh, Jason's like a really sharp sports betting guy, and that's what you need to win. I don't think you need that to win, and just having some, being in on the high stakes discussions, there's plenty of times where having sharp football stuff gets
Well, Jamie
completely,
Gold won the main event.
yeah,
So
yeah, like planning, mapping, and doing a little bit of projection EV thoughts, like, can take you all the way, take you as far as you need to go. And like, I know when, earlier in the season, Jason and I were like having maybe different opinion on the Grandissimo stuff, and I often am like arguing against doing some sharp betting play that he would want to do because of Survivor reasons. Um, I don't know if that's that important, but the Survivor, kind of the approach that we're sharing, I think it is accessible, and that makes the game easier to grow. And just regular people who don't have betting models can look at the map and look at the lobby and just think thoughts. Um, Grandissimo is kind of weird, where that's such high stakes. Uh, like, we are going to put that on Atlas just because it's helpful to people, but it is extra weird playing that with a tool that costs $60 to see all the same tool we're
yeah.
using. Um,
Although,
and
maybe people are getting annoyed by the reference to poker, but like, you can get a GTO Wizard subscription or Run It Once subscription for, a couple $100, and then go play a $100,000 rebuy tournament. So it's like, uh, you know, and the people that are playing in the tournament are people that made training videos telling you how they play in these tournaments. So it's like, it exists in other industries as
yeah,
well.
that's true. Maybe, I think there's a bunch of little topics that I think are I want to put out there on the Survivor Atlas Twitter just for people to consider for this off season.
Oh
So
yeah, that's what you mentioned.
I know Circa's considering some changes. Um, and one of the ideas I had while watching the new Running Man last night. Have, have you seen
Go
Running
on.
Man? The original with Arnold is
Yes.
one of my favorites.
Okay.
And the new one they made that came out maybe last month or so, pretty fun romp. But one of the things with the crowd, they get the crowd chanting, and it's like, when the stakes go up, shit goes down. and it's like the crowd's chanting for a commercial or something. I don't know. But I had put this thought in my head that I wonder if Grandissimo is too big because I've heard multiple people talk about how they didn't want to play because of like if people work together, it's gonna be you're going uphill, and maybe they did hit a buy-in that's too big, where the money is too big relative to the field size, and like the game structure itself shouldn't be played with only 50 people for 5 million or 100 people for 10 million, or I don't know. Have not thought through this idea. Literally was just drinking wine, watching Running Man, and I wanted to quote them on today's show.
That seems like a common theme that's been going on here with your consumption of alcohol recently.
Dude,
do you want to do a podcast where we just talk about that?
I would like that, Mikey. I would like that.
All right.
I gotta say, I mean, dude, I appreciate you calling me out on that. I feel like during the season, I'm like locking in. I got clear head, and then ever since that day at Circa, watching the Vikings beat the Packers,
you've just been an animal.
Have I been spiraling because of Circa?
I don't know. Usually, if you lost week 20, that would be an expected outcome. But you won week 20, and you're
No, I think it's just. I mean, real talk. It's this. Our off season is like the entire playoffs of NFL until now, basically. So I've just been enjoying not having to think about. I've been free from Survivor Madness, dude. Like I had Survivor Madness for 300 days straight. Getting the website ready and.
Here's my last parallel to poker, because it's going off of what you just said, where if it's $100,000 entry and people are working together, it's going to be difficult. Is there a scenario? Let's say you're playing a cash game, and we'll just make it no limit hold'em, for example, and where two players are working together, not necessarily signaling each other their cards, but doing plays to juice up the pot when one player has a good hand or something along those lines.
Okay, clearly breaking the rules.
If those two players are working together, but they don't know that do you believe you have an edge?
Oh, dude, I mean, I was one of the biggest winners against the super user back on Absolute Poker back in the day because I thought this. But I only was one of the biggest winners because that was the day the user tried to dump back a bunch of money to make it look like they weren't cheating.
Yeah. Okay. So you can't beat
So I think I made it on 60 Minutes or 2020 back then.
I vaguely remember that.
But that was a younger Gabe would have been more courageous about that stuff. And being in the experience with them this year, Juicy Coochie, and watching everyone else kind of do some deals where Juicy Coochie was clearly the
odd man out.
Took the worst
odd lady out. Like
she had the best entry, and it made everyone else want to collude against the best entry, kind of.
Yeah.
So, and there wasn't much to do except maybe, I don't know. I think often it might like devolve into stuff like this, and it shouldn't discourage anyone, because if you know what we're talking about, because you saw on Christmas the guy with 2 entries put him on the same team, then if you know enough to be tapped in, then you also could be participating in whatever deals or stuff like that, shenanigans happening. I think though that ties back to what possible changes Circa could do, and we're gonna try to push some discussion about this on Twitter. But I'm gonna just hit you with a few of the things.
Okay.
And I want your first reaction of it.
Okay.
One kind of soft one, doesn't really apply to you, but the Millions, the sports betting contest where you pick 5 against the spread every week.
Yeah.
By the way, when you come to Vegas and sign up for Survivor, are you going to get an entry into that as well?
I'm gonna do it all. I'm gonna do it all.
there's like quarterly prizes, and if you have the worst record, you get money, and like the overall winner gets $1 million. And
I'm gonna do Survivor F1. I'm gonna do Major League Baseball futures. I'm gonna do everything.
dude, Derek Stevens, get this guy a room. Get this guy a room. Well, I think they should. Like personally, I have Survivor Madness. That those contests where you have to pick 5 every week. It turns into kind of a pain for me. But so I played it, I think the first year, and then the second year I had some ideas about how to get an edge, and then I just didn't care anymore. But I would play that if they made one of the prizes a Grandissimo seat. You know, if you have, it was like a satellite. Our first Survivor satellite was from the Millions. Somehow they took 100K out of it and said the person who has the best record the first in September gets a Grandissimo seat next year. I was going to ask you if that would entice you to play, but you said you're already going to play everything. So
Yeah. So, no, what's the difference? If I give you $100,000 or I give you the equivalent value of a seat that's $100,000, I don't see I don't see a difference. It's kind of like when people give me a gift card.
no, there's like taxes and stuff, and
Okay, if you're factoring that kind of stuff in, I don't know.
oh, I wonder how that works. You know, like you know how or World Series of Poker, if you win a satellite,
Yeah,
and you know,
I know the answer. I just talked about this. They, depending on the size of the satellite, they just give you those tournament chips.
right? But like on your taxes, do you declare tournament chips that you won?
No, you don't get 1099 because you didn't technically win money.
Interesting, because I know Benson has said that the withholding limit is when you hit 300 to 1 payout, they have to
Yeah.
withhold. So Grandissimo, no one got withheld on because it was only whatever 15 to 1.
Oh, I see. Okay, but to answer your question, in a satellite event, they literally hand you those chips. You can resell those chips, and then then I guess it's on you to pay your taxes. But like,
I wonder if you played a crazy satellite though. Let's say it was a $10 or
like
no
a
$1.
or $100 rebuy, and one they only pay one, or actually no, they do they have mega satellites to like the 100K buy-in? I don't know, but let's just say for the purposes of this that they do. Let's say it's $100 rebuy, and the first place is an entry into
100K.
the WSOP 100K.
Yeah. Right. So
Um,
I'd be curious about that. Maybe it's never happened, and maybe they're smart enough to never set up a satellite that's over 300 to 1, because that's when the IRS says auto withhold.
sure, but I still don't think they would, because you're not winning anything.
Oh yeah, I guess also the Millions buy-in is at 1K. So if you hit 100K for the Grandissimo, they wouldn't withhold it, and they could
Yeah,
probably easily do some tournament chip type thing.
yeah,
Um, I think that'd be cool though. I think that would get me playing Millions. And you know, the Millions, they haven't grown in a few years now. I think the guarantee's been 6 million. They keep getting around it. They
sure.
never and and maybe that can help it grow. Okay,
All
another
right,
one.
next one. Hit me with the next one.
Okay, limiting the number of people Circa will pay out on a survivor entry. For example, you know that it's always been, oh, just tell us how many people and we'll write them all down, and they each can get paid out at the casino on the payout day. But limiting it maybe stops groups from forming pre and posts.
A,
Like maybe let's say
little
say
bit,
5 people, 10 people, maybe.
but like, you'd still have a situation where if there might be 40 people that have a piece of a team, they're going to pay out 5, and then one of those 5 is the brains of the operation, and then it's on them to issue 1099s to each individual after that.
Right.
So
People find ways around it, but it might just help discourage people doing that stuff. Maybe that's good. I don't know.
yeah, but also it hurts people. They shouldn't cap it at more than 10, because like, my group is, as an example, I had one entry this year that would have been 10.
Right. And man, the way this thing grows, it's like people starting with single digit entries, and then they're like,
Yeah,
I
and
didn't.
if you want like your office to be in it, and like if your office has 20 people or something, and one person's going to run it, and each person puts in 50, I don't know. I
I'm with you. I think
I would say probably not. That would discourage. I don't like that idea.
one of my things. I feel like trying to help grow this is seeing how people who play a little bit, just like you, they want to come back the next year with more because it's fun. It has more chances, and then once you get to 10 and you have a friend playing, you naturally want to swap with them. Like especially when it's 25 million for first. Like imagine we both have 10 entries and you go deep and I don't have 1%. Like, dude, let's do a little trade, something. Just
Yeah.
because like that's literally the most fun of it. And it helps grow it year over year by getting new blood who get a taste and want more. I think there might be some limit that makes sense though. Maybe
Okay.
20,
I'm
maybe
not
10.
I'm not opposed to it, but I think it doesn't have the intended effect that you're going for. Not
Word.
you, but in
I look
general.
I look forward to seeing what people think about that on Twitter after we put some of this stuff out. Another one is, should people be limited to 10 entries?
So I thought you were
Does
going
it
to bring
really
that
matter?
up. I thought you were going to bring that up. And like, again, I always think about the unintended consequences when you're making rules like this, right? And I think that it could it could do more harm than good, because the people that would benefit from this, let's say you have a group that wants to put in 100 entries, right? And previously they were able to do, they only needed 10 people because you could do 10, right? It's going to benefit the people that have big gambling networks that have the ability to do this, because the people that were going to put in 100 entries are not just suddenly going to say, oh, oh shucks, we're only going to do 50 now because you can, those 10 people were all we had. No, they're going to find the stooges that they want and get those people in and
Mm,
act accordingly. That's not going to be a limiting factor for the groups that are, the syndicates that are hell bent on getting a certain number of entries.
yeah, right. It just kind of makes it more annoying and it looks bad, but it doesn't really raise
It just means
raise
those people have to find 10 more people, which, is that hard?
Yeah. Hold on. So are you saying there should be a limit of 10 or not? You threw me for a
No,
loop. Yeah.
I think there should not. A limit of 10 per person is fine. I think altering it, are you saying completely eliminate the total number of entrants and one person could put up 200, you're saying?
I've seen someone suggest that and someone have that conversation. My gut says it's probably bad to do no limit. I kind of like 10 just because it's like the same as the World Series of Poker. A person can go down there with 10K and have
Yeah.
a chance at making a run.
And it
Uh,
also like it a consequence of that is that it does bring like additional human beings into the fold. You know what I
right.
mean?
New blood.
Like,
You want that new blood, new
yeah,
and
like
drag down there.
even if there's like a syndicate out there that's like, all right, you're putting these entries in for us, you're going to get X percentage for doing so. And that person still exists. And so
Yeah.
like, you're going to they're involved in the contest in some way or another. So like, I don't know. That's that part's kind of cool. And you would cut out 19 of those people for somebody that, if you go no limit. The
Right.
benefit of no limit is you can see how many a person has, but like, I don't know. Is that really like something that people want? I would say probably not. Like,
Ooh, maybe in the distant future, the game is like very, everyone's like really good at Survivor by then. So people wanting to see, oh, the guy with 100, his ownership was like this.
yeah,
Maybe I know personally talking about getting new blood in it. Like when I got my family to help me fire, we had 15 entries in 2021. I think it was 6 per person. So like, I got 2 others, and we didn't even get the max. We just had 15, but
right.
it changed. Like obviously we won and it was fun and like created some core memories, but these people are now Survivor hardcore. They love Survivor, and like we've lost plenty of money the last few years with the family, but it was so fun, and they wouldn't have been in it otherwise.
Right. That's what I mean. So like if it was just you and you could put in, 40 entries or whatever you individually wanted to do, why would you involve your family? Like it's cool, but like needing to involve them is different than wanting to involve them, I would say.
Yeah, and it's like created like the like bonding over Survivor, and it's like family tradition now where in July, August, all right, like everyone's putting some money aside for Survivor. We're going out. We're going to
Yeah.
Circa. We're going to holler at Barry
We're
downstairs.
skipping
Barry.
dinner this week, and all that coin is going into gambling.
Right, right. Do a little door dashing on the weekends, man. Get
Yeah.
that 10 entries.
Yeah, OnlyFans.
Yeah, Mikey grind that OnlyFans, man. I hear you, dude. And okay, one more little
Okay,
twist,
go.
and that is some people, before Thanksgiving, when there was still 900 people left, people thought there was way too many people being alive. People saying, "Oh, we need to go to double picks. Oh, we need to raise the buy-in." And be honest, I don't really like those ideas. I think double picks. I actually hate the idea of double picks in Circus Survivor.
How
And
do I
raise
feel?
the
My initial inclination is I see both sides, because I do think that, like, do you remember we were doing an episode and we were like, you were giving me the over under on the total number of winners this year,
okay.
and it was something like 60 or something like that,
Ooh,
because at
yeah,
the
I went a
time
little high, dude.
it made sense because there were 900 people left at Thanksgiving, and obviously we don't predict that all four dogs are going to win, but that would have been a bummer. That would have been really crappy. That would have sucked if like 65 people won. Um, not a huge bummer, but like you're not getting it. You're not winning anything.
It would have been
So
annoying, but it would have been. It's still like they earned it. If they go 20-0 and they get it, like I wouldn't want to take away any of the glory from any of those people who were the final 60 if they won.
double picks feels like you're making it like it's turning into more Powerball than it is like a contest. Like it's
Right.
going to be so hard to win.
That might help the nerds in the groups too much anyway.
Right. If you start adding complexity of double picks, like good luck to your one entry guy just making it all the way through.
Yes. So here's a through the grapevine a crazy idea I heard that why not they just add, if the NFL does not add another week, the NFL might do that anyway,
Right.
where it just naturally gets a little harder. But if they don't, and the contest has 30,000 entries, wild card weekend is the last round. Because you know how it's kind of stupid how the last round is week 18 and there's teams resting, there's teams not trying, there's like all this weird thing. But if the last week was wild card weekend and you don't even know what teams they are, you don't even know, like if you have a playoff team, should you even try to save a playoff team? You don't know which team you're supposed to save.
All right.
That'd be the coolest.
Here's an idea off of your idea, and I don't know if it's a good idea, but I'm just going to say it. How about if there are over X number of winners after week 20, it goes to wild card weekend.
Oh, yeah, like a filter. Like, oh, we got too many. We got to cut it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. That might be. I mean, it might be tough to write that in the rules because they got to clear these rules for gaming commission and all that. Right.
It has to be super specific. So like, if there's over you pick the number, doesn't matter. 25 players. No, you don't want to get too stupid with it, but like if there's over the number of teams where if an individual team wins, they win less than $1 million.
Yeah, that, or maybe 32 is a good number. There's 32 NFL teams, so That may be a
I can
funny.
get behind that. I'm open to it, but like the idea being, you're going to guarantee, and if there's still 30, over 32 after wild card weekend, next round, all the way to the Super Bowl until there's $1 million per team.
Yeah, I wonder if that's possible with the rules. I know. I mean, just the contest, it gets bigger. If it gets 30,000, they're going to have to think of some ways to limit it. And the NFL, I don't know when the NFL, the Players Association, get to renegotiate the rules or whatever to add another game. Whatever. It's been an hour, Mike. I know we got to start kind of wrapping up here, so we don't got to
Sure.
go deep on these things.
We said this is the encore episode, and we won't be back, but maybe we do one in the near future.
Yes, I think maybe if there's some March Madness stuff that we
Sure.
get that entices us. I know I'm besides laying out Atlas plans with the teams, I'm like trying to expand what I do to the public more. I think I've proxied for hundreds of entries over the years, all privately, and just like how Atlas was built on like my tools to how I play the game, I like built it for the world to use. I think there's something to that with my just like infrastructure with managing entries and swapping with people, playing with friends, partly inspired by you and your friends. And like, okay, you got the Tuesday group chat, you got this, and maybe like if someone doesn't like what everyone's voting for and they want to dump their shares on someone else, I think there's lots of little ways that stuff could be put into a site that could be a lot more fun. And I'm exploring that very actively right now. Anyone interested in just working with us, what we're doing, we're all feel free to hit us up always. And I know the Circa, like the schedule comes out the end of May. It'll be around the end of May when we have the rules for Circa and what they're doing, and that'll help people kind of narrow down both their plans and how much money they need to get together. But in general, everyone, how much time do we have till September? February, March, April, May, June, July, like 8 months. You got to put like $1,200 aside every month, everybody, because you got to get that 10K. You got to get 10 buy-ins or 10 entries to live your best life this season. So everyone be thinking about that, how they're going to get their 10K. And also, since I don't know when we're doing the show next, I want to just put this out there is that you want to be finding friends to play with because it's more fun. You have better chances when you trade with friends. And you don't have to necessarily agree on all your picks with friends. They can play their own entries and you can play yours. And our major like updates we'll be having around when the schedule comes out, because then Atlas, like our new alpha version for this year, will be coming out. And I know everyone will want to be mapping the season like as soon as it comes out. So we'll be doing some announcements around then about our plans, and I look forward to doing another year of this, Mikey. Can't wait till September, dude.
Gabe, always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure, Mikey. All right, hey, thanks for hanging with the Encore episode, and yeah, keep in touch, everybody. Mikey, you too, man.
Bye.
All right, I'm gonna hit this button.